you guys.
Hello.
I'm Tina.
And I'm Priscilla.
And we are the Sensei Sisters. Today, we are talking about how to give people feedback without ticking them off.
Constructive criticism.
Yes.
Not destructive criticism.
Have you received constructive criticism lately?
I don't think so.
Wasn't constructive.
I don't know that I've received any criticism recently.
Well, that's kind of good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, right? But have you ever gotten criticized in a way that it could have been better?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
You want to elaborate?
Well, being that I have a business, you get reviews, and sometimes
Oh God,
people
I remember
say,
that crazy woman on Yelp.
Some people say things. Oh, she hit me on Groupon as well.
Ugh.
And that's one of those things. If you're gonna say a bunch of mean things about somebody and claim that they aren't doing things the right way, you should probably visit them more than once.
Yeah.
And get some perspective.
Yeah, like she came to your class one time and gave you a horrible review.
Yeah.
And also, I noticed a lot lately on Facebook, like people are like posting in these groups about restaurants they don't like or whatever, and it starts this big argument. And one of the things that people say is, why did you feel inclined to post that here? Did you actually talk to the manager when you were at the restaurant? And I can understand that response, because when we owned a restaurant, if somebody would have posted something like that about me about our restaurant on the internet, but didn't bother saying to me, your waitress sucks or whatever, I would have been devastated. I would have been blindsided. We did have one waitress that when we owned a restaurant, one waitress that was causing problems and we didn't know it. And finally somebody came to us and told us, and we were so thankful that they told us that. But then we worried, how many customers did we lose before we found out? Because this was definitely stuff she was doing when we weren't watching, and when we were watching she was fine, but apparently she was just making some customers crazy. So we ended up firing her. It's the only person we ever had to fire that whole year. But anyway, yeah, so I was telling Priscilla, in Toastmasters we have this feedback approach. We do speech evaluations, and we do a sandwich approach, they call it. And so you sandwich whatever your negative feedback or your room for improvement is in between two compliments. So you start out by just saying what you liked about the speech, and then you say, I think the one thing you could do, or the two things that you could improve upon would be this. But you also, when you're giving that room for improvement, you tell it from your point of view. So this is not, you aren't really funny at all, but you think you are, right? You say something like, I personally didn't find your jokes that funny. Maybe you could punch them up a little bit better and try varying your timing or whatever, because it is just your opinion. And so you have to remember it's your opinion. And then you always close with, but overall I thought it was a great speech and you did a wonderful job, or whatever, even if you think they sucked completely. No, I'm kidding. Most people don't suck completely at it, but you know what I mean. So you give them some good feedback, what you liked, and tell them what they could do to improve from your own point of view. And then you give them like a summary. Overall, I thought it was very good, or you're on the right track, or whatever. So, and I told Priscilla, I think that's just like an approach we should use in life in general whenever we have a complaint about something. I've actually used it when I'm going to a restaurant. Like we had a horrible waitress one time at, well, I won't say the name of the restaurant because I don't want to give them any trouble, but they handled it really well, because we called the manager over. Our waitress, like the only time we saw her, I think, was when we got our check. And so I called the manager over, And when the manager came, I said, I got to tell you, we eat here all the time and we love it. And the service is always really good. And we always enjoy the food and the atmosphere is awesome. But today, not so much. And then I told him about the waitress and what had happened. And I just basically stated facts. You know, the waitress only came to our table one time to take our order and one time to bring us the check. But after we called her over to bring us the check, she never refilled our drinks. She never checked on us. We had to go get ketchup from another table and so on. And so they were so awesome. This particular restaurant actually comped our meal, told us, look, your meal's on us today. And they gave us like a voucher for free drinks the next time or something. I don't remember what it was, but they went overboard to correct it, which they should, you know. But I think that you can use that same sandwich approach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that it softens the blow, and I really like Priscilla's point about don't be too quick to judge a business based on one trip there.
Yeah.
Or one interaction with them.
You never know. That's why I'm hesitant to ever give any negative reviews. I don't do a lot of reviewing, but you know, a lot of places will push you to review them. That kind of gets on my nerves too. If you're a business and you keep, every time somebody comes in, you ask for a review, or every time you order online, you ask for a review, that's overkill. And you're going to lose customers because you're going to get sick of getting that email every single time.
And then if you don't, okay, so like a certain hospital that keeps texting me and saying, tell me how we did. And then I told you, so I got aggravated because I recently went to the emergency room and was treated and misdiagnosed. And then I got the text, didn't know I had been misdiagnosed, totally trusted the doctor, but thought this is really strange because I don't think that's what's wrong with me. And so then I go to, I follow up with my PCP who sends me to another doctor, and she's like, what doctor told you you had that wrong with you? And it turned out to be a completely wrong diagnosis. But I already filled out the stupid survey saying how nice the doctor was. I wish I could go back and say he was a wacko.
Nice does not always equate with knowing what they're doing, unfortunately.
I know. And I was probably being generous when I said he was nice, because he was kind of aloof and just, I kept saying, but I don't think that's wrong with me. But you know.
That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, that is a whole nother subject. We'll go there someday. Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Yeah. But if you do have positive comments, it is good to
excellent
offer reviews. If you think good things about somebody, and even in general, and I know we talked about this a long time ago, because I can even remember being at the other cafe in the parking lot doing our thing and talking about when you see, if you are interacting with somebody, it's nice to shoot them a compliment. If you're thinking that they have a nice dress on, or you like their earrings or their fingernails or whatever, give them that compliment, because that feels good to people. You can build people up.
Well, and likewise, especially now with the review systems the way they are, where if you only get 3 or 4 people that go out there and say, oh, I really like this place, and you give them good reviews, but then you have the opposite where people who don't get great service, that's the only time they'll complain, is if they get bad service, or if they get bad product or whatever. That's the only time they'll review you. That's the only time they'll say anything. And so you need that balance. You need those good reviews to balance out the negative reviews. So if the only time people reviewed a restaurant was when they had an issue with it, some of the best restaurants in the city would be low rated. And so you need to take that into consideration.
From my own experience, I did a promotion through Groupon that lasted probably way longer than it should have. And I had over 100 5-star reviews, and all it took was one person with a 1-star review and one other lady who didn't know how to use her cell phone and wrote a great review but accidentally hit 1 star. 2 1-star reviews, and suddenly I went from being a 5-star server to being a 4-star. And it doesn't sound like it's that big a difference, but if you think about when you're trying to shop for a new vacuum cleaner, for example, and you're looking for a decent one, you're going to wonder why it's only got 4 stars.
Yeah.
Why does Priscilla's Zumba business only have 4 stars? What's she doing wrong?
Yeah. Well, the accidental thing is a beast too.
Yeah.
Especially on Facebook, the way it used to be. Now Facebook doesn't really ask you to review pages like 1 through 5 stars. They just give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah,
But
recommend or not recommend.
we had one lady that had accidentally reviewed our church page
I remember that.
and gave us like 1 star, but then wrote something really nice. But the weird thing was, this lady had never been to our church. This was before we live streamed. Nobody knew who this woman was, and apparently she was on the church page and accidentally hit the 1 star. But then wasn't responded to any of my messages saying, hey, can you please let me know why you only rated us 1 star? Was it an accident? And then we had a member that had done it too, had accidentally given us a low star rating.
I know
So-
somebody who accidentally gave 1 star to their own business. True story. And I saw it pop up and it said so-and-so has rated this business, and it was her business, 1 star. And I was like, what? And I messaged her real quick and I'm like, hey, did you know that this is what it says? And she was like, oh my God. And she remedied it right away. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
because you can, if you review somebody on Facebook, you can like go back and change
Yeah.
your review.
Even if it's you. Thank goodness. Because I
Yeah.
was just like, what? She didn't even know what had happened. She probably did it with her pinky finger when she was talking to somebody. Like, you touch your phone and be accidentally calling Australia.
On Google, you can, on Google reviews, you can actually click on the person that gave you a bad review and go look at who all they reviewed and what they scored
Yeah.
them. And I had an issue one time where this guy so I managed the page for my church, obviously. And so I had this guy had reviewed us on Google and gave us like 1 star and said some kind of nasty comment. Now, we did have online services at the time, but I didn't understand. It was like the comment he made didn't have anything to do with us. It was like...
It was just a general anti-Christian comment, if
Yeah.
I remember.
Yes, it was. It was like an anti-Christian comment, so it wasn't specific to the church. So I went and looked at his history, and he had reviewed, like, I don't recall if they were all churches or Christian organizations, but he had reviewed like 50 businesses in the last 30 minutes and given them all like bad reviews. And so I actually wrote to Google. I don't know if I told you that. I wrote to Google, and they actually removed his review. They said that they had taken it under consideration, and so I thought that was pretty cool of Google.